Good evening, Malaysia and around the world. We are pleased to have with us Nazir Razak, who really needs no introduction. Nazir has been really busy of late, actively involved in prostate cancer awareness campaign. And tonight we will be talking about this subject. No holds bar. Nazir, please dive in and share with us at what point that you found out that you had prostate cancer.
Thank you, Chunwai, and thank you for having me and helping me promote this message of awareness for prostate cancer. I found out that I had prostate cancer in October 2018, or rather, I was suspected to have prostate cancer in October 2018. I just did a routine medical test to buy an insurance product, and then the cancer marker showed that I could have prostate cancer. So then I went through another 2 stages of discovery to confirm. And so by the end of December, I had done the biopsy and it confirmed I had 2 things. 1, that I had prostate cancer, and 2, that it was aggressive and that they needed to go in and remove my prostate as soon as possible.
And you had your surgery in February the following year.
That's right. I had my surgery on 5th of February. You have to give it a bit of time up between the biopsy and the surgery so that you can recover a bit from one insertion to do the next insertion. Yeah.
Nazir, so what was racing through your mind during that 5 months?
Well, when I first was told it was suspected prostate cancer, you of course worry. But immediate thing to do is to do your research. Then when I did my research, I was a bit less worried because I realized that, this is one cancer that can be decisively treated. So the key thing then was to find out whether it was advanced or still at an early stage. So that was the worry, that the cancer was still in the prostate and could be treated. And then when I got the biopsy result, then they seemed to say, okay, look, it is still early stage, it's still in the prostate, but it's aggressive. So we got to go in quickly. So then I knew that, okay, my chances of survival are good, provided, over the next few weeks, this thing doesn't come out of the prostate. Because once it's out of the prostate, it can go anywhere. And then treatment is different. The percentage survival between early stage and advanced stage, it drops from 90% to 20%. So it's a very sharp drop.
Nazir, you know that my late father, he had prostate cancer. But it's always said that of all the big C, prostate cancer is something that is is something that you should be the least worried about. And actually, he had no surgery and he lived really long. He outlived prostate cancer. He passed away at the age of 96. He probably discovered it 10 years ago. And of course, the minute when the family members found that he had prostate cancer, I was one of those people who immediately went for checkup. Dr. George Lee, the famous Dr. George Lee, was the one who did the examination of me. So when I read about your case about that having to do a test every year, it struck on me that I've not been doing that. So this kind of awareness campaign is really necessary to remind people that, look, you really need to do a checkup regularly, if not every year. Does any of your family members have this prostate cancer before?
To my knowledge, I don't know, honestly. I mean, my late father died of leukemia, and my grandfather also of cancer, apparently. But you don't really know because prostate, when it gets advanced, it could morph to a different type of cancer. And, you die, you're not sure why. That's one thing. Also, bear in mind that for men, the family history also should include families who had breast cancer, women in the family who've had breast cancer. But to your point about checks, I mean, our advice is that if you're over 50, you should have it annually checked. If you're below 50, then the best advice is that check if you have symptoms. Like, you have to go to the toilet too frequently at night to pee, or you have erectile dysfunction And those are the two most common indicators that tests should be made.
With many men who are past 50, reaching 60, 70, they will regard it as this kind of symptoms as something that will be natural. It will not necessarily be something for them to worry about. Waking up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet, and having what they call it, erectile problem, inability to sustain the erection. They said, well, it is starting to do with prostate cancer now. And of course, there's one reason why people are not aware of what they could be facing. And I think in most cancer cases, prostate cancer cases in Malaysia, 60%, if I'm not wrong, are already at the advanced stage.
Okay. And that's the issue. The going rate internationally is about 25 to 30%. So Singapore is 25. So we have a problem in Malaysia that, people are too embarrassed to talk about it, or society at large just ignores it. And that's why I've embarked on this campaign, because I think a lot can be done. If we do it statistically, that if we bring down that 60 to a more normalized rate, right? Can you imagine how many lives we save? Can you imagine how much suffering we can prevent just by becoming a more normal country in terms of stage of discovery of prostate cancer?
When you undergo the surgery, I read it was through robotic procedure. What was it like?
Well, it's still very invasive, but the comforting thing is that you kind of assume the robot will be very precise.
Mm-hmm.
So the surgeon is literally like playing PlayStation,
okay,
on some controls, and then it gets removed. So the precision levels are very high. But of course, the recovery is quite torturous. I mean, you basically are on a catheter for about a week. And that's a horrible feeling. You feel like a satay for about a week.
So it was actually a human being controlling the machine, rather than an actual robotic experience.
Right, that's right.
Okay.
And then you have to be very diligent in terms of your exercises, etc. Because obviously you want to get back to normality, right? And your urinating functions, your sexual functions need exercise and rebuilding.
Mm-hmm. Nazir, that you're not the doctor. I'm not a doctor, and I should have invited Dr. George Lee to join in today. Okay, is this? I don't know whether it's a myth or something medically factual. I've heard people telling me that if a man do not have sufficient sexual activities when they pass 50 or 60, then they are bound to have prostate cancer problems. You have been reading a lot about it. Has Dr. Josh Lee tell you something like this?
Yeah, he's quite mad. So he actually reveals the statistic, which is that men are advised to ejaculate at least 21 times a month.
Wow.
That's the George Lee statistic.
So
I reminded him that ejaculation need not be, a DIY, right? It can be as well.
And I can imagine George Lee telling all his patients that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
No, okay. You had your surgery in 2020, right? Oh no, 2019. 2019. Yeah. Okay. But you started this awareness campaign only, a few months back. It's almost a year. What made you want to be involved in this prostate cancer awareness campaign or activism, so to say? You have practically been appearing on TV show, radio show, you name it, you are there. What made you decided that, look, I'm coming up to talk about it?
Well, first of all, it's not a very pleasant thing to speak about publicly. And so people generally don't if they have a choice. But after I fully recovered, I kind of felt that I have the capacity to make a difference in this awareness campaign, and that I owe an obligation to society somewhat, because I was lucky. I survived, so I wanted to give back. So I saw my surgeon, and he then suggested a few things in the UK, and I said. Then I thought about it. I said, no, I should do something in Malaysia. So I immediately saw George, and he invited a number of the leading urologists in the country, and we kind of sat down, and they explained to me the situation. I mean, there's a whole list of things that need to be done, including the fact that we are short of urologists. We only have 1 in 250,000, whereas Singapore has 1 in 50,000, and then the cost of testing, etc. A lot of issues. Then I said, okay, look, I will join forces with University Malaya. They actually already have a urology trust foundation. I will join forces with them, and we will go on this awareness campaign together with the month of November in 2020. That's only the beginning of our journey. We have a 5-year target of reducing the 60% that we talked about to about 30%. So we have many programs after this, but the public can rest assured that you will not see too much of me after November. Like, it was just an intense period to raise awareness in November. After this, it's more low key. We're going to have programs to educate GPs in particular, as I said, not enough urologists, and we're going to try and raise money so that we can have free testing for underprivileged and so on and so forth.
Nasir, did you initiated this project, or University Malaya approached you? How do you, or you approach them?
I approached them.
Yes.
So I said, look, I want to contribute. My contribution is basically to raise the money from my network, and which has been very supportive, and of course to be the in a way the face of it.
Yes.
My friends, Tony Fernandez says, you've gone from the face of CIMB to the face of prostate.
I think that it makes sense that you're a face of it, because the people can relate to it in a better way. You're a personality, and people will listen to what you have to say. When you first approached me some months back, you told me that would we be interested to talk about prostate cancer. I wasn't really interested, because I was like, oh my God, I've been approached by so many NGOs. They're all sort of campaigns. And the minute that I heard that you're going to be the face of it, I was really glad, because that at least that for those of us in the media, we see a face, and we like to hear a story and to have someone sharing that experience. And I really hope that, Nasir, if after a while you decided to take a low-key approach, I hope there'll be others who will come up and share their experiences. It really makes a lot of difference. Yeah. Nasir, tell us about the myth that Malaysians and men have about prostate cancer.
Well, one is that it is not dangerous. It is dangerous, and you shared your experience of your father. I mean, the fact is, 10% of men will get it in their lifetime, right? And that's a very high number. And the fact is, when you get it, the chances of survival, as I said, goes from 90% to 20% between discovering early and discovering late. Yeah. So you may as well discover it early, right? And I think that the danger is, there is also a danger that people take it too lightly, because you hear a few stories where actually people survive. Part of the reason that happens is that some people are just too old to endure the surgery. So it's better just to leave it and hope that the cancer doesn't spread during their lifetime, because generally it's a slow growing one. But you can be the minority that has aggressive one, like me. When they tested the tumor after the surgery, they said that if I had waited another 3 to 4 months, it would have escaped the prostate, and then I might not be here with you. And the fact is, the younger men, I got it at 52. Younger men tend to have more aggressive ones because your testosterone is high. So that's why, I think the younger men below 50, if you have symptoms, you really should check it, because chances are, if you have it, it's aggressive.
When you mention symptoms, what kind of symptoms? I mean, if you're below 50, I mean, it's very unlikely that they will wake up in the middle of the night to take a leak.
Yeah, that's why it's unlikely that you should. And if you start, changing patterns, right? And the other one is, if the speed of your peeing, if it changes, then it could also be a sign of prostate cancer. I don't know if you heard on BFM, we have these PSAs that have strong peeing and then soft peeing as an example of people who should get checked up. Yeah.
What's the difference between strong peeing and slow peeing?
slow peeing. If the speed of your pee suddenly drop,
Okay.
it suggests that you may have enlarged prostate.
I see. And they probably would not be aware of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and if you sense that, you just get checked. That means just go and see a doctor.
Yes,
Just go and see a doctor.
Yeah. You know, Nasir, just now we talk about men being shy to talk about their sex problems. You know, I mean, men are basically very egoistic. You know, and that even when men gathers around to have a couple of drinks, you know, they will be more interested to talk about their sexual conquests. Okay, hardly you hear anybody says that I've got this serious problem. Okay, they won't share it. But I think Malaysia has opened up, and that from the conversations and from the programs that I've been listening to since you appeared, I'm actually quite amazed that mainstream media on TV, prime time, talking about subjects that would have been unimaginable some years back. Okay. I mean, Harry Iskandar has really been amusing. Harry Iskandar told me that, you know what, I'm really amazed. I've never imagined we're talking about sperm count, okay, on my show.
No,
Why do you think things have changed?
He went on Meletup, which has huge Malay audience of about 1 million per show, and started talking about sperm. Right? And that was never imaginable, right? And that's great. I also went on Meletup and talked about erection, although that's
Truly Meletup.
truly Meletup. Yeah, so I mean, we have to, because some people say, look, you know, why? But you know, in the end of the day, we're talking about saving lives.
Yes.
In the end of the day, if talking about it and opening up about something a bit embarrassing can save your life, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? And you know, even if it doesn't save your life, it can save you a lot of pain, because if you discover this late, suddenly, you know, you really have. I've heard of people who have excruciating pain just going for a pee because.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. And for those in the, I mean, your case was really, I mean, at the aggressive stage. For those in early stages, usually what kind of treatment would doctors be giving to those in the early stages?
Yeah. So it depends. Some doctors will say, look, you know, you have prostate cancer. It's not going anywhere. It looks really, you know, chill. So let's just leave it and monitor it.
Okay.
And so the diligence there is they will check it every year. And if they see movement, then they may say we need to do some treatment. There's also, you can also get away with maybe doing some radiology instead of surgery. And those are the main options there.
So this prostate cancer, are they like the other cancer where you have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4? Do they go by that count?
Sort of. I mean, but their definition of 1, 2, 3, 4 is really where the tumor is. If it's still in the prostate, it's basically 1 and 2. 2 is sort of on the edges. If it's out, then it's 3 or 4. 4 is really spread everywhere. It's going berserk.
So Nasir, what is the level of your awareness campaign? Is this your public appearance? Is this stage 1, or are there many stages that you're planning to go along? How does it work?
I think we're going to do it annually in November.
Okay, why November?
Because it's Movember, Men's Health Month.
Okay.
And I feel that one intense month of talking about prostate cancer is the best way of doing it. So that everywhere you turn, radio, TV, you know, you hear prostate. That's the way of getting it in. Then we'll dial down for 11 months. Then we'll start again next November. And as I said, during this period, we'll do other things like educating doctors and so on.
I cannot remember or can recall any excitement or level of excitement to this particular campaign until now. Although I've been in this media business for so long, and I'm like after talking about this, I've decided that I think I'll go for another checkup again to be on the safe side. Now, how has this response been from your talks around the country?
No, I'm actually so touched by the support I got. One is for the sponsors or financiers of this program. You know, we raised a few $1 million in very quick time. Okay. And a lot of the people who donated were a bit like you, who said, oh, I have my father died of prostate cancer and so on and so forth. I had one guy who donated because he found out that his father had prostate cancer, had the surgery like me, but then came home and told his family that he had a heart checkup because he just didn't want to talk about what it was. You know?
Okay.
And then in terms of our KOLs or key opinion leaders, I've had tremendous support from the likes of George, uh, um, people like Harith Iskandar, politicians like Hisham Hussein. All these people have actually come up and in support. You know, I had Les Ferdinand, I had Azizul, Nicole David, Maya Karin, all these people coming up to support our campaign. And it's been absolutely great. I really, really enjoyed it. And of course, I had a lot of messages from people saying, thank you, I'm now getting checked out, right? But I keep telling my guys that, look, you know, I think we nailed the Bangsa bubble, but we need to go down to the ground because our number, our target is a national target. So I've gone on to Mandarin programs, I've gone on Meletop and other Malay programs so that we can really drill down to the kind of, you know, mass market.
Generally, are there any differences in the kind of questions or the kind of concerns that they ask you? I mean, comparing to English-speaking crowd, Bangsa crowd, or the Malay crowd, are there any differences in the approaches or the interests?
No, not really. I think the only one is the kind of Chinese community get a bit more edgy when I tell them that actually the Chinese, ethnically, the Chinese are more vulnerable than the others. That's about the only thing of note.
Is that a case?
That is the case. You're more vulnerable than me, but unfortunately, I got it. You haven't yet.
I mean, I know that nose cancer, the ethnic Chinese have got very strong, what they call it, reasons for that, because it's genetically responsible for that, and the kind of food that they used to eat, or rather their forefathers used to eat, you know, like pickle, salted fish, pickled vegetables, that kind of thing. But I didn't know that the Chinese are very prone to that. Well, what's the reason for that?
Nobody really knows what causes this. Cancer in general. I just say that, look, most likely it's, you know, the combination of food, stress, and so on.
Yes. Okay, now, this is kind of slightly away from prostate cancer, but I do not know what stage of your career are you in. Are you fully retired, half retired, or what? What is your status?
I call myself semi-retired.
Okay.
You know, I left CIMB in October 2018, about the same time I had prostate cancer. Okay. And I then launched a private equity business, which, you know, I run together with 3 other partners based in Singapore, covering the whole of ASEAN. So that takes up, you know, about 50-60% of my time. And then, you know, I do some other stuff. But overall, I call myself semi-retired. As in, I don't do anything full-time, but I am fully occupied.
From your Instagram postings, I realized that besides your involvement in this awareness campaign, you have been spending a lot of time at the golf courses, which means that you're pretty relaxed.
Yeah, I am, and I'm taking out years and years of missing out on golf. You know, I played golf when I was in my early 20s as a stockbroker. Okay. And then I became a serious banker and I had to give up golf. I didn't have the time. And if you recall, CIMB sponsored the PGA tournaments, etc. And yes, I didn't even, I didn't get very involved. So I took up golf again in December. Okay. And I find it's a great sport, but it was also a great platform for me to reconnect with a lot of friends and ex-colleagues and so on.
I noticed that you have shaped up very well physically, although our friend Tony needs to work harder himself. That's it. Okay. What has life like after CIMB? I mean that I think that for many captains of industries, people who have been CEOs, you know, executive chairman, you know that sometimes that I mean when you're holding a certain positions and you are holding the chair, I mean that a lot of people run to you, they kowtow to you, they ask for your time, your diaries are actually really fill up, you know. Has there been any changes to your kind of life or your schedule since been semi-retired?
Well, look, Joy, I took back control of my life with retirement. I do what I want to do. I can be very busy. I can be very not busy. I have full control. Whereas if you're running a corporation like CIMB, you've lost control. It's your secretary, it's your staff, it's the issues, it's your clients that control your life. And it's emancipating. I've actually really enjoyed it. In a way, and when I reflect back on CIMB, I mean, I spent 29 years there, and it was gut wrenching to leave. But the good, in a way, I would have been I found it very hard to leave CIMB. So in a way, it was a good thing that I didn't have a choice. The so-called Council of Eminent Persons decided that I should be replaced. So then I left. So in a way, I didn't desert CIMB. I was made to go. So that actually made leaving CIMB easier. And then I took control and basically said, look, I need to focus on other things. So I jumped into a fellowship at Oxford for a year. And of course, I had my prostate cancer to deal with. So I was very busy. So I didn't really have much time to think about the sudden change in circumstances. And then after I came back from Oxford, and the PE business was already running. So in a way, I'm very busy. I can be very busy. And honestly, I don't miss the things that I used to think were important. I don't miss the kind of thrill of, everybody seeking my time, everybody calling me up. I honestly don't miss it. And I think that it's natural to miss something like that. You just have to take control and see it for what it is. Most of the people who wanted my time, wanted to see me, were actually, it was never about me, it was about them.
Trying to get a loan from you.
It's trying to get a loan from me, or trying to get higher pay from me, or whatever. It's more about them. Now I see who I want to see for me.
And who are your real friends?
And I also know who are my real friends. And in a way, I've been lucky. I've always actually known quite well who are my real friends, who are the fake ones. So I'm quite chill about these things.
Nasir, you were in the CIMB for 30 over years?
29.
Almost just one employer, right?
Just one employer. It's my first job. Yeah.
Okay. And it's really the icing on the cake for you to have a training academy named after you.
Yes. I was very touched. And thankful that they did that. I think and it associates me with what I loved about that, which is developing talent. So I'm very proud of that. Yes.
And Nasir, how much time do you spend on Ikhlas Capital, your private equity fund that which you have co-founded?
Yeah, I spend about 50-60% of my days on Ikhlas. I found this together with Kenny Kim, who was my ex CFO at CIMB, as well as Gita Werawan and Sesa Pulisima. And we raised about 250 million US and are investing in companies across the region. I'm, in a way, it's the genesis of another very important financial institution for ASEAN. So it's sort of almost a continuum of what I did with CIMB. So I think it's important, although, Kenny does the day-to-day CEO role. I'm the chairman, but it takes about 50-60% of my time.
I've been following the progress of this company, although I don't have any money to pass it to you to invest, okay? But I follow very closely because I'm really interested I was really interested to find out that there are 4 core areas that Ikhlas Capital has focused on, basically consumer, logistics, finance, and technology. Now, logistics, finance, and technology, we're all quite familiar. When you talk about the consumer sector, what kind of growth company would you look into that you will use your clients' money to put into?
Yeah, look, consumer is a vast sector. Almost every business has consumers. And in a way, therefore, that kind of 4 sectors is not rigid. Yeah, it doesn't give us too much constraints, and it's intended that way. I think the key thing is that ASEAN's growth in population, growth in middle class will generate a lot of consumption, and we want businesses that plays into that. So it can be in F&B,
Okay. Oh, I see.
can be in retail. We're very flexible.
Nasir, in Hong Kong, many of the fund managers who had previously talked about technology, and that suddenly they have also talked about food security sector. Many of them, of course, the information they have given out in their analyst reports do not have much detail. It's very sketchy. But more and more, I noticed that coming up from Hong Kong, they talk about this is one area where it will grow, particularly after the COVID-19 pandemic. People started looking at this industry in a stronger manner. What is your take on the food sector?
Yes, I mean, we have been discussing this. I think every country is thinking carefully about food security, and that will kind of drive investment and opportunities in each country. We don't have it as a core area, but we actually have the flexibility of just going back to a small group of our investors and sort of saying, look, we want to add this sector, or we want to get an exemption to invest in this sector. So we also can get into it. I mean, I think certainly, in every country's case, it's not just the pandemic, but it's also a sense that there is a degree of deglobalization and overhaul of the relationships and supply chains. And the first thing that a government owes its people is food security.
What about logistics? I mean, that they're all, that they're all tied up together.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a way lucky. One of our early investments was in a cold chain logistics company in Philippines, and I think we're now discussing with them how to prepare for transportation of vaccines. Right, that's a very interesting new area, and actually we have a advantage because we already have the transport and storage facilities for frozen goods. Yeah, and if you look at across the board, logistics has been a huge beneficiary of MCO and COVID.
In one announcement that you made about the E-Class Capital, you say that you're sitting on the pile of cash. I think you used the word dry powder, right? Okay. Now, has the COVID-19 situation sort of like delayed your company in looking for possible areas of investment?
No, actually, what happened was that when we raised the money in sort of middle of 2019, we didn't predict COVID, but we were a bit uncomfortable about valuations. They looked quite frothy, etc. So we kind of slowed down. We only made one small investment, which was in Pelican. But with COVID, obviously a lot of businesses are cash strapped. Yeah. A lot of businesses are, looking to revamp. So we've seen a slew of opportunities. So we're taking our time, but there's certainly a lot of deals that are being considered.
Nasir, we have almost come to an end of the year. This year is all about survival. No one wants to talk about the growth in the company. If they can, especially for the SMEs, if they can pull through 2020, they are pretty happy. And some say that the real impact of the COVID-19 to businesses will actually be seen in the first quarter of 2021. And that comes to the point when people cannot, employers cannot hold on anymore. They need to let go their staff. They need to relook at the kind of businesses that they are doing. As a veteran banker, how do you see the scenario that's coming in 2021? What should be watched for, and what can we expect? A little peep into your crystal ball, so to say.
I think the end is in sight. Coincidentally, this morning I was on a dialogue with Bill Gates through one of my boards, and he's very convinced that the end is in sight. And what we're looking at is the speed at which the vaccine can go around. Okay. And I think the Oxford AstraZeneca one is key because that's very cheap and easy to transport. There is a scenario where, by middle of next year, the vaccine can be widely available, right? So if we take that, then what we're saying is that I agree with you. I think in first quarter 2021, some companies will probably have suffered from MCO for too long.
Yeah.
They have run out of savings and spare tires and so on. So that's where I think, banks, governments have to give a little bit of help so that people can just see through to the end of the pandemic, and then, be there for the recovery. The government has big decisions to make because, there are many companies, etc., that we really need to keep alive so that we have them post-COVID.
You know that when you look at the projection of the country's growth, I think they were talking about 6-7%, right? I think that's based on the World Bank forecast. Of course, there are many people who says that is that possible? Pretty skeptical about it, and of course, the government says no, this is something that can be achieved. What are your thoughts on that?
Originally, I thought it was a bit aggressive, but I think listening to the accelerated time frame for the vaccines, I think we could get there. I think we could get there because I just think that recovery will start earlier than expected. I mean, if you look at the UK is already approved the Pfizer vaccine, right? Scotland announced that on December the 8th they're going to start vaccinating people. I mean, that's soon. That's sooner than people expect.
Yes. And then, of course, there's the 12th Malaysia plan. I'm really optimistic about the 12th Malaysia plan. I really see it as possibly a catalyst of growth in terms of government projects and construction to accelerate the economy. And I was told that there'll be, for example, there'll be a large number of hospitals that'll be built and other construction projects. Really hope that things would really change for 2021. Nasir, coming back to prostate cancer, okay, I think that the problem with talking to you is that one can never run away from finance, banking, and these projects. Okay, so I'm getting carried away. Okay, I just want to know that in your discussion with people from Unistar Malaya, and that they have been, I'm sure they've been sharing a lot of things with you. What I know that the next project will be in November, but what would they want to see achieved apart from you appearing and apart from money being raised? What are the areas of awareness or concerns in the rural area? Because I can see that as you mentioned that you have addressed the Bangsa crowd pretty well, the urban crowd. What are the targets for those in the rural areas?
Yeah, I mean, there are two things. One is we need to get the GPs to have a better command of the latest proper advice for prostate cancer. See, the problem with prostate cancer is not so binary. Even the so-called blood test, PSA test, the false positive levels are very, very high.
Oh, okay.
Right. So when someone says he has these symptoms, there also needs to be a little bit of judgment to sort of say, I don't think it's prostate cancer, don't take the PSA test. Yeah, because it just makes you worry unnecessarily. And of course, the problem is we take the prostate test and it's positive, the next stage is very expensive.
I see.
So these are the kind of issues we need to deal with. It also is this whole issue of testing. If you went to a government hospital today and asked for an annual test, you can't get it.
Oh, okay.
You would need to show symptoms. Someone, doctor is saying this guy has symptoms before you can get a PSA test. So clearly, prostate cancer is underfunded. So government has a lot of different priorities. So we need to discuss with government, and we need to see maybe we need to raise money separately in order to help government hospitals have the capability to test more people, or we have to set up free training, free testing capabilities across the country. So there are many areas we want to help. But as I said, we are kind of guided by this target, this KPI we set ourselves, which is to bring that 60% number to less than 30%.
This is interesting. I didn't know that the government hospitals put this prostate cancer test as the low level on, not on the top priority.
Yes. So yeah, so that's why there's much to do. There's much to do, and I really am feeling good about the energy levels of my team together with UM and the kind of progress we made in this first round. But we want many, many rounds. And as I said, after 5 years, we will look at this 60% number and see where we are. Hopefully, we'll get to that 30%.
Okay, Nazir, I need to wrap this up. Can you have one final word for us before we end this program?
My final word is that prostate cancer is very treatable so long as you discover early. That is fundamental. So go get tested and don't be shy to find out whether you might have prostate cancer.
Thank you, Nazir, for taking time off tonight to share with us and to talk about your problem which you had gone through, and about your semi-retirement plans and your wise words about the financial situation and the budget in this country. Please remember to like, follow, and share Nazir Razak, okay, as well as RealChunWai. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you, RealChunWai. Bye-bye.